All right, hopefully the camera doesn't stop on me. Uh, you notice in the frame, I'm doing a little bit of trolling about my hearing. Anyway, I want to talk to you about dream operators. I always forget this phrase, dream operators. Now, there's only one. There's sort of one kind of dream operator, but once you understand the mentality of the dream operator, you realize they're in almost everything. Now, my friend sells trains, and he packs up, he drives for miles, he unpacks the trains, he puts them out on a table, and a dream operator will come up. And this is a guy that has no trains at all. He'll just stand there, and he gets pleasure just talking about trains that he's going to buy. He's never going to buy them. He's never going to set them up. He's a dream operator. He actually gets excited just talking about trains. Now, these people exist through a lot of different areas. Now, so what am I trying to get to? Well, anyway, uh, these people exist in a lot of areas. Now, here's an example. Get a job in TRW, and this guy Jerry hires me, and he knows I'm older than the other guys, and he relies on me to fill in the gaps of different jobs. So one day I see him. He's up by the mod bench, and everybody's flailing their hands up there. And I'm sitting over in the test. I'm on the TC800, which is a test unit. You put a circuit board in there, and it runs signals through the circuit board. And you have a probe, and I was popping them out, popping boards out, repairing. And Jerry would stop by. Whenever he come by, he'd stop by. How you doing today? Are you ready to go do this? Are you ready to go? So he's at the mod bench, and he's looking my way. I'm like, oh no, what could this be? So here he comes. How you doing this morning? Okay. What's going on? He goes, all right. He goes, I want to go down by the dumpsters down the back in the warehouse and get one of those big gray barrels. It's like a totes, but it's big. It would hold 100 pounds of paper, no problem. It's got casters on it. You can roll it along. The janitors use it. He goes, go get one of those and go over to the cabinets, the lockers. We had a bunch of lockers. And he says, none of those lockers are free. And he says, there's paperwork in all those. Throw it out. Just throw it out. So anyway, I go over by the girls, and they're like, I said, I'm going to take care of it. I said, what's going on? Every locker needs to be cleaned out, no matter what. The girl said, we have all our stuff out of the lockers. We're all set up. You go in and now open all the lockers. The locks are off the lockers. Just go in there and clean them out. So I go over there, and I start cleaning out. I realize it's paperwork, manuals and stuff for radios, and it's packed. Each cubby hole is what, about 1 foot by 1 foot. When you went to high school, same lockers, and they have the same place where you open the long door, packed from the bottom to the top, and it's all manuals and advertisement to buy certain radios. I'm looking at that. I'm looking through it as I'm putting it in and there's a lot of it. I mean, you're talking maybe 5 runs that I have to clean. This guy comes over and he starts screaming at me. And his name was Nick. And Nick used to be called, behind his back, cockwasher by the women. He would go in the bathroom and take his genitalia out and wash it in the sink. Now, I won't tell you what nationality Nick was, but and these people, they said, because he's that nationality, they're like this. I can't tell you what the nationality is. Maybe you caught it with my little jingle. So he's standing there screaming at me, and I'm picking these things up and I'm putting them in the barrel, because the guy that hired me, who's been really good to me, make sure I'm getting my raises. Just do it. Just do it. Don't ask. Just do it. So I'm doing it. And he's standing there, and he's going from 1 foot to the other. I don't know if you ever saw someone do that when they're nervous. They rock back and forth. I sort of do it when I'm talking, doing the videos, but I don't lift my feet. But they lift their feet and they start. So I go, what is all this stuff? Well, I'm going to buy these radios. I'm like, I'm like myself, wow, there's a lot of radios in here, you know? And then what he would do is if they come out with an A or B or C model, he kept bothering them, these companies, for the manuals and all of it. And he just put it in the locker. And I didn't really understand that at that time about pack rats and dream operators and time bandits. If you get involved with a time bandit, a pack rat, a hoarder, you're going to be sorry. But Jerry, so I see Jerry, he's going by, and he's on the other side. He's just looking over me, laughing. And I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to take every piece of paper out of those lockers and put it in that barrel and take it and dump it, and then come back and do it again, do it again, do it again. So I said to the guy, you want to take some of it? No, I don't want to. Now he's becoming the baby. They go into the passive-aggressive baby act. If you ever watch Hoarders, they won't touch any of the stuff. They won't. But if you try to say, well, what do you want? They want to save it all. They want to leave it all in the lockers. So finally, I'm just doing it, and the guy's getting really mad at me. He's starting to threaten me. And he's half my size. And I said, look, dude, I'll make your whole fucking family disappear. And he just looks at me. That's what I would do. You finally pushed me. I said, I don't need a gun to kill you. I'll run you over in the parking lot. If you push me really far, I'd get down that road. So he's just standing there watching this stuff get dumped. And I'm looking at what this stuff is, and it's just portable radios. A handheld radio, a little bigger, this size. Nah, it's not in the frame. This size. Every manufacturer, every brand, and he's got letters in there where they actually said, well, we think our brand is better. And I'm reading it real quick as I'm dumping it. And then finally, he's getting really nasty with me. And over comes Jerry. And Jerry just says to him, he looks him in the face. Now, he's arguing now with his boss. This is the guy that gives him his raises. This is the guy that gives him his reviews. He starts yelling at him. And Jerry says, let me tell you something. He says, I told you 3 times to get this shit out of the lockers. You have all the lockers tied up. Nobody else can use a locker. And these are other people's lockers that you went in. Because they didn't actually use locks on the locker. It basically, you trusted the other guy not to steal your stuff. And it was basically your hand tools in there, your coat, your hat. And it's all packed, like a pack rat. And Jerry just told the guy, he says, I told you like 3 times to clean it out. I was serious. You didn't clean it out? That's it. And I kept saying to the guy, you want any of this stuff? No. He went into baby mode again. And I just cleaned it all out. And then I said to the girls, I said to Jerry and the girls, I said, somebody go over to Drug Fair and buy some locks so he can't do it again. And they even locked lockers that weren't being used on them. It's pretty funny. But yeah, they called him Cockwasher. And yeah, the first time I saw it, I said, I thought he spilled Freon into his lap or some chemical that we work with. No, every day at a certain time he'd go over there and unzip, pull them out, and wash them. And he'd leave the pubic hair in the sink. And then the guys would make jokes on the backside when they first saw the pubic hairs in the sink. They thought it was somebody else doing that. Now, I won't go into that, but in other words, think about it. And so these people exist. They're out there. They play make believe with stuff. Now, I had several people. I would say, here's this so and so unit. You're going over to so and so's house. Yeah. Take this and give it to him. He asked me about it. All right. A couple days later, the guy never got the unit. So I go to the guy. Did you deliver it? Oh, I decided I'll keep it for myself. Yeah, I had a couple of those wackadoodles. People will want something suddenly, and then they'll do anything in their power to keep it. And they have no use for it. It's just, that's another one of those things you got to learn about people. Now, here's another example. Let me make sure this is still recording. Hold on. Okay. The crazy lady on the street. Later on I learned how crazy she was. She calls me up on the phone. She says, George broke the toilet bowl lid. And a little crack, a little chip came out on one corner. That's what really happened. So she gives me the number of the toilet bowl. She says, I need you to locate a toilet bowl lid. All right. Took all day. I found a guy. I called him on the phone. And he had the toilet bowl lid. And for $28, he was going to ship it. And I went over and I talked to her, and she says, "Oh, I thought you were going to locate me one in the neighborhood. You know, you have a lot of connections." I was only there a short period of time, but it was her way of like saying to me, "You got a lot of connections already." It was a different mode of operation. She was up to something. And then the guy that owned the house, I met him. I talked to him, and he goes, "There's a little chip out of the corner." He goes, "I don't got to worry about that." I spent the whole day. I'm not kidding you. On and off between lunch and my nap. Yeah, they're out there. They play make believe with your life, and they're time bandits. And you don't realize it. You know, they seem so normal to you, and then you locate something. Now this guy Nick, he pissed off so many people at work, and if you mention his name, every person had to tell the story of how they got involved with him. Now one guy uh, was a TV repairman, radios, and Nick gave him a clock radio, and it just needed to be taken apart and cleaned, and then give it back to him. So Nick said it was working weird. He's nuts. So the guy, the TV repair guy, finds another one similar and brings it in to show him and say, "Look, this one's the same model." And, "No, that's mine. You took mine. You gave me this other thing." My friend didn't know what to do. And at some point, he just snapped on the guy. He just said, "Look, Nick, there's something wrong with you." He's told me, I go like, that's what you have to do. You tell him, "You're not normal. I ain't putting up with your crap. Don't bother me ever again." And little by little, the shit went on. So finally, they took him. Oh, he worked next to another malcontent, this woman, Mary. And they put the two of them together because no one else wanted to work near them. Well, Nick would clear his throat. He was disgusting. Da-da, da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So you're not supposed to say anything anymore because of woke, but some of these people need to be straightened out. Well, anyway, so Mary was a pain in the ass on her own. If somebody lit up a cigar, oh God. Well, anyway, Nick would clear his throat and he would spit into the garbage basket, but never his. And then Mary kept complaining, and finally Jerry come by and then saw the act. He went over and he cleared his throat into Mary's basket. And they're plastic waste paper baskets with a liner. There is a bag, a plastic bag in them. Jerry saw that was it. Nick got taken down to the back. And there was it was rebuilt back there, and then there was another section that they put people that had like mental problems, and that's where I don't know what happened to Nick after that, but it is amazing when you get involved with these people. Now, this one guy, I sort of made it a funny thing. Every time I go by him, he starts saying he wants to buy my house, but he wants to buy it for what I bought it for, and he's freaking serious. There's something wrong with him. And I said, I was kidding him. I said at one point, I left it to another neighbor. All he has to do is pay $1. I mean, so anyway, I need another house. Blah, 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 blah. So about 6 houses down, the house is for sale now. See, the houses aren't selling. So I tell him, "Well, how much do they want?" I said, "I ain't going there." I said, you said to me, "Tell me when a house is for sale in the area." And that's what I'm doing. Well, I met the realtor. I told the realtor about you, but the realtor started rolling this on because the realtor knew the guy's most likely going to be a dream operator. So I said, "Go down there, put a note." I said, I'd have you put your note on the door, and he'd call you with all the, the incidentals or whatever you want to call it. But he didn't do it. It's dream operator. Play make believe. They stop you. They waste your time. They tell you these big stories, and they don't follow through on it. Now, I had several people had me fix something, like a hand drill or something. They never used it. They got it from someone. It was broken. They give it to me to fix. I fix it. It never gets used. So what's bringing this up? All right, so last night, or this morning, I opened my email up. It's a guy from Germany. He can't speak English. And he wants me to tell him what frequency the crystal has to be in this. You take 2 command radios. One's low frequency command, and the other one is like, in my case, it was 80 meters. and you added the last IF, you put a mixer tube in there with a socket, with an adapter, with a crystal, and it takes that frequency, whatever that radio is on, it changes it to like 455 or whatever it is, low frequency receiver can do. See, they had, I have long wave, there's command radios that are long wave. They'll do 455 IF, but it's extremely narrow. So you can make a dual conversion radio that way. And I realized nobody ever did it in a magazine. And I did it. I did a video, and it's in English. It's all there. Anyone that's got, anyway, guy can't speak English. Now he wants me to, I ain't getting involved. I know better. First of all, he wants me, their band over there is 4 megacycles to 5. And then I'd have to calculate the crystal. Then he's going to say he's going to need the circuit. I know where this is going. I finally got there. Okay, I finally got there. I actually got people figured out more than they know what they're up to. Okay, and someone would say, well, maybe, no, he's not. First of all, if he could build that circuit, all right, he can figure out what the crystal is. It's a difference of the IF and well, anyway, it's real simple, all right? But he's not going to build that circuit. He's just going to keep asking me questions. I've been down this road before with people. When I did the CNC machines, there were people that emailed me every day with like 20 questions. All right? They're never going to buy anything. The 20 questions takes over an hour to answer if you really do it. And someone said, put a fax page up, frequency asked questions. Fax, FAQ? Yeah. Anyway, I never did that. I was so busy. Holy crap. Answering all these questions, building the machines, testing the machines, doing the drawings, going to the post office. You know, then it dies because all businesses peak. And it peaked too soon. And it wasn't because of the Chinese. It's just that all the people that played make-believe were gone. All the people that were going to build the CNC machine, get it working, and just print their name or cut their name, they're all gone. Now you got people that are like, I don't know, it's sort of, I think about it. And they ask you 20 questions. Because that's they actually get excitement reading your answers. And then the people that want to argue your answers with you. You know, and you want a sale. It's a $35 sale. So you spend an hour answering their questions, only to have them argue with you. It's a $35 sale. Now, what percentage of that is your time to print the booklet out, to ship the booklet? There's no profit. I was working for free. And where I saw that was the Shark Tank. The guy says, you're not making any money. You know, you're making money, you're paying your bills, but that's not money. You're working, and you're getting paid. And that's what I started getting the idea, let's shut this thing down, you know. It was sort of egg money, but it was like I could go get a job flipping burgers and make more money. And maybe take some food home at the end of the day that's left over. And, you know, there's all kinds of little free soda all day long. When you're working for yourself, you got to make a certain amount of profit margin. But I just want to tell you about dream operators and time bandits. And time bandits are people that just stop you. And they ask you a bunch of questions. And any of the equipment, any of the answers you give them or the information, they don't use it. They don't do nothing. And this one guy, I realized his wife does all the work around the house. And I just start paying more attention to stuff. And that person goes, well, I'll buy your house. I didn't say it was for sale. I'll give you half what you paid for it. I'm like, what the hell kind of... And then I started teasing them, making up stuff. Alternative facts and parallel universe answers. And every time I go by him, I torment him, you know, because that's what he did to me. You know, I kept saying, why does he think I'm selling that? And the other guy down the street from here, he just moved out of his house, and he moves his son into his house, and he's over renting. And I'm like, there's other stuff involved. You're like, this makes no sense at all. All right? So I just wanted to warn you, you might be at an age where you're starting to put patterns together that you're older. Let me make sure this is still recording. Okay. Yeah, you might be, you go through stages in life, and then at some point, they say your brain shrinks, and you don't take in as much information. You start processing the information you already have. And you start forming patterns. You start to see, these people, I help them, I get the thing fixed, and they never use it. And I'm like, it's not just one or two times. It's like hundreds of times. The person that, I put an aerial in the car, or I fix the car radio, I fix the wipers, and they sell it. See, they want to sell the car working, but they don't want to pay a mechanic to fix it. So this one guy, his name was Sal, and he kept buying a better and better car. And then I helped him. He goes, man, you fixed that car good. And he had a friend that had a gas station, and he had problems. Wiper didn't work, the fuel gauge didn't work. It turned out to be there's a giant plug that goes through the firewall, and water got in there, and it rusted the connections, and the fuel gauge was wrong, and the wipers wouldn't work. They changed the wiper motor, the wiper switch, fuses, and all this stuff, and then I followed the thing all the way through, and I found that it was a plug, and he got the actual booklet for the car, and it really wasn't straightforward. I just followed the wire to this big plug, and this big plug on the firewall had a nut in the middle of it, or a bolt. I undid it, it came apart. And as soon as I looked in there, I said, "You went through deep water." "Yeah, I went through deep water, you idiot." "Oh my God. It shouldn't bother the car, should it?" Yeah, it doesn't bother the car. Oh my God. Where did these people come from? But anyway, Dad got that working. And then one time he left the car, the windows rolled up, super hot day, wrong location, and all the switch clusters on the door dropped down into the handle, or hand rest. And I went over with a heat gun, and I'm out there. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "You hold this here," and I had pliers, and I said, "I'm going to heat these pieces of plastic up and bend them back to where they should be." I did that. I waited. They cooled down. They snapped back in place, and they were fine. And then what was the other one? Oh, every time he slammed the car door, a fuse would blow. I told you this story once before. It turned out to be a cigarette lighter. Somebody was out, and everybody in the car were smokers, and they were using the lighter, the built-in lighter, and it fell apart. So the person ran saying, "Hey Sal, the cigarette lighter broke apart," and then giving Sal the pieces. They dropped the pieces down in the hole where the cigarette lighter would go. And then if you slam the car door, it would short out temporarily and blow the fuse out, because the cigarette lighter is direct line to the battery through this fuse. And I made a fuse up with a light across it. And we're opening and closing the door, and you can see the light flicker. My friend said, "This is pretty good." I said, "Yeah." So we went along, and I'm hitting with my fist. Okay, I get in the car and fit. It was on the back of the driver's seat. There were cigarette lighter plugs. The thing must have had 8 cigarette lighters in the car. It's a big Chevy. It wasn't a Cadillac. And as I'm tapping it, and I look down on the side, and I know the fuse is blown. So I get my pliers, and if I short anything out, the light bulb's just going on. I start pulling the pieces out, and he kept telling me this all happened when I took a bunch of people out for dinner, but that wasn't enough. All his friends were smokers. So anyway, yeah. So then I'm at work, and I'm telling the story. This guy gets up, and he goes out to the car, and comes in with all his cigarette lighters. He had the same basic car. He pulls all the cigarette lighter plugs out, and then he goes back out later and puts a fuse in. He starts slamming the doors, and he comes back in, and he looks at the cigarette lighters, and he goes, "This is the one that's doing it." He goes, "Thanks." And I'm like, "Man, anytime I can help, But he had the same problem. He hit a real bad bump in the car, and this fuse would blow. And there was something else on that fuse. I don't remember what it was, but it was direct from the battery, fuse, cigarette lighters, maybe some other interior light. I don't know. But anyway, it's so funny. But I just want to tell you about time bandits, all the things that they'll do to you, have you spend all day looking for a toilet bowl lid. Well, we thought you could find one in the neighborhood. Exactly how do I find one in the neighborhood? That's how crazy she was. And then she only got worse. When George was dying, she had a bunch of thermometers around the room. He's laying in the living room on a couch. He's dying, and she's got thermometers all throughout the room, and she's got a clipboard, and she's walking between each clipboard. She's dead now. I could talk about it. Man, this was unbelievable. She's walking between the clipboards and noting that and telling him, George, this one here is 79.5. This one, she's got, and I'm trying to talk to him about, it's been nice knowing you. You're gonna die. It's just, oh my God. Yeah, yeah, because I put myself out there. I do have boundaries now. I do have boundaries now. No, sorry, you got the wrong guy. Try somebody else. It's like that guy telling me the story about, it's a short story, two sentences in broken English. And I'm like, I'm not even going to respond to the guy. He's got a ham license. I always pick on those guys. Well, I saw what you did, but I want you to show me. You got the ham license. I don't have the ham license. How come I know how to do it? Yeah. And someone says, well, you don't need code anymore. No, in my mind, I wanted to learn code. That's part of getting a license. Just passing a test. Now, to get a license, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the old days when they made you work for it. Each level of being a ham, you had to really study. That's what I want. I can't get that. I don't want it. But it's so funny. This guy's a ham operator. And he mentioned something about a flea market, too. I was like, you know what? I'm not, don't go there. You got to have boundaries. I wrote so many letters to companies that owed me, and they didn't answer me. So I'm like, this is a stranger. I'm not monetized. I don't have to answer. I think that's it. All right, that's it.